This is an introduction to using favourites within sentencing guidelines for Android and Kindle Fire. Against every judicial index, we have a favourite star that can be turned on simply by clicking the star within the offence viewer or clicking the star actually within the index listing. Therefore, if you miss the star at the index, you can always collect it and make it favourite from the offence viewer. Now, the favourites are added in the order that you add them from your indexes. So the first 3 favourites we've now added will appear in that order within the Offences tab. So you can see favourites are divided by the type of judicial data to which they refer. So if we look perhaps to adding a favourite for explanatory material, and we may be looking at high-income offenders, we may also look at maximum fines. If we now look at favourites for explanatory material, we can see those 2 items are now displayed within the specific section for explanatory material. So to reiterate how that works, if we perhaps go on to pronouncements, we're currently looking at adult pronouncements. And if we were looking at a community order and community order requirements and perhaps compensation, these favourites are now displayed upon the pronouncements section of the favourites pop-up. And the same follows for the rest of these favourites. So bench books, a bit further down the index, we could perhaps make favourite a prohibited activity requirement, maybe an exclusion, 2 requirements to a community order. Those favourites are now displayed within the bench books favourites section. Now we've included the most obvious or the most frequently accessed favourites with those 4 tabs displayed at the bottom. However, there are additional favourites available from the small settings icon on the bottom of the favourites pop-up. So you there have access to favourites for additional guidance, CPS legal guidance, probation, and dangerous offenders. If you created a list of your favourites which you wish to save and secure, we can export those favourites to a file which can be backed up to your own PC or Mac. This means you can then re-import these favourites to restore all the favourites that you've configured for your application. And if we just use the default name for these have been exported onto our SD card, and they're called exported favourites with today's date. Now, clearing favourites from your list of favourites is simply clicking any of the stars, and that will just simply remove those items from your favourites. So it just takes a few moments to just clear down those favourites. So just to show you the import of favourites, we'll re-import the favourites that we just generated, and that's dated 2nd of July. We've just imported those favourites. We can now click on the favourites pop-up, and we can see all the favourites that we've just made in this session now restored